Hello, so this is Composition Consultant speaking. That's just my handle. My name's Jonathan, really. This is my girlfriend Sophie. She's kind of agreed to come on today just to talk about basically her diet and how I've been coaching her to lose some weight. Do you want to say anything, Sophie?
Yeah, happy to be of a support as always. Yeah. Happy to discuss my journey so far.
Yeah, so what brought you to the start of this sort of diet then, the carnivore diet? So you're doing the same sort of approach to me, so you're doing basically meat, animal fat, eggs, whey, things like that.
Yeah, a little bit of dairy I do. I do a bit more dairy compared to you. Well, it started, I wanted to lose weight and I'd lost weight before I even met you. I'd lost 6 stone in a year, which was basically just cut out carbs. And then you advised me on the carnivore diet and I thought, well, I've got nothing to lose except weight, so we'll give it a go. And I think we've worked out kind of your charts, and we've worked out logistically, I think I'm on a quicker, better progress than when I lost that 6 stone a couple of years ago. So it's always a win.
That's good to hear. So you're basically saying it's more efficient and that you found like a way of doing it which is just not going to take you as long.
Yeah, and I think it's a healthier approach from compared to when I did the diet in 2020. I have a much healthier outlook on food this time round compared to last time round. That's
important to mention, actually. I think a lot of people start on these sort of diets and they think, right, I see all the time, like they're looking for, how do I lose 10 pounds in 2 weeks or 4 weeks, whatever it is. You think, right, you're going to lose that weight in 4 weeks. What are you going to do after that?
Yeah.
You got point A and point B. What happens at the end of the tunnel, sort of thing? What are you going to do beyond that? I think that's important to mention. You got to sort of find these habits and ways of sort of keeping in towards your dietary plan, but also being lenient sometimes, have some sort of flexibility of it.
Yeah, and I was definitely harsher last time, which mentally isn't good, because I would self-punish if I were to steer off it, whereas this time my outlook is completely different thanks to your coaching.
That's good to hear. So did you have any difficulty starting up? Do you have issues adjusting to this sort of way of eating? Talk about, what was it like socially and things like that?
Socially, it's difficult to eat carnivore out, especially in this country where prices are ridiculous anyway, and they're not as easy going in a restaurant to swap something out or charge you that little bit less. If you was to have, a skinny burger and not have the bun, they'd still charge you the full price, and you're not going to feel as full out in a restaurant on carnivore unless you're willing to spend a lot, which I'm not. So eating out is difficult, but depending where I'm going, if I'm going to a friend's house, I'll take food with me. I don't care. If I'm out at a restaurant and it's like a specific, it was my dad's birthday the other month, so I looked at the menu beforehand and then I chose the best option, and then I had the tiniest bit of potato, which obviously isn't on carnivore, but sometimes you have to tweak it that tiny bit to go out and celebrate things like that. In regards to starting, it is different. It is a different way of eating, simply meat, eggs, butter. I've never had so much butter in my life.
Expensive, eh?
It is.
Especially my taste of raw unpasteurised butter and eggs and organic and free range.
But body-wise, I didn't notice any stomach issues or anything like that. I think it was different. My bowel movements were different. I used to be a regular at least once a day, if not more, whereas I've had times, I've only been doing this 12 weeks and I've had times where I haven't pooed in 4 days. I wasn't in any pain or discomfort, which you would think that you would be considering it's so long. So that was an adjustment to make of trying to track when was the last time I used the toilet. But other than that, my appetite is a lot better. I eat until I'm satiated and I don't overeat. Sometimes I've eaten way less than I should, but I haven't felt hungry. Like, I go to bed, at the end of every day I go to bed and I'm not hungry. I don't wake up hungry anymore because of what I'm eating. I'm eating the correct things, the correct macros to keep me satiated by the end of the day. So then I don't feel like I need to eat something else when actually I don't.
Yeah, you made some good points there, like especially about eating out. It sometimes is more difficult. Here in the UK, it's a bit different from the US. Our meals, for example, if in the US you can get like a 16, 20 ounce steak quite handily. Over here, it's very difficult to come across.
Like an 8, isn't it?
It's like an 8 at best, oftentimes. Yeah, so you get a 6 to 8 ounce steak. Then you got, if you're having the full meal, it would be a baked potato. You know, some. If you're lucky, you can find butter in some restaurants. Not often. It's usually the spread, which we avoid like the plague.
Yeah.
What else is there? It would be like a side of salad or peas or carrots. So yeah, and unless you're getting like, a skinny cheeseburger sort of thing. So it's just obviously we just usually omit the salad and just eat the meat, a portion of it, and no bun. We try and get we'll double up, so we might stack the burger if it's possible. Often not, but it's a bit more difficult in the UK versus the US.
It's easier getting some takeaways, isn't it? As opposed to eating out, we found that it's easier sticking to it to some degree, getting a takeaway in as opposed to going out for a meal. It's cheaper, and then you don't feel as bad steering off the diet so much, because the only difference is it's sauce as opposed to I've had carbs. You don't feel as like
mushy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's when we had I say it's like as if it's recently. We had a Chinese 2 months ago or something.
Yeah.
And that was essentially for us. It's like a chicken sweet corn or chicken sweet corn soup.
Chicken sweet corn soup. Yeah.
We had half a pot of that each. Then it was
beef and black bean sauce, and then chicken in some sauce.
Yes, yeah,
the worst part was the sauce.
The worst part is the sauce.
Those kind of places, it's easier to stick to. But if you was to go out to, like a Harvester or something,
that's like a steakhouse for us, kind of thing. So it's
probably our cheapest kind of restaurant, isn't it?
Yeah,
well, probably not anymore. But yeah, eating out is definitely a lot more difficult. But then again, like I say, it depends where you go. We went to a wedding the other week and we took our own food. And I pre-warned the bride that that's what we were going to do. And, all our friends are very supportive anyway. Turns out there was stuff there that we could have had, but we didn't know that. So
yeah, they had some nice mozzarella, it looked like. And I think we could have managed to get some hard-boiled eggs from the Scotch egg.
Yeah.
But we didn't want to be picking apart food.
No.
And it's a bit embarrassing. So we just
thought,
bring our own Tupperware box and not make too much of a scene of it.
Have no shame in it, people. If you need to take your own food out, do it.
Exactly, yeah.
My cousin does the same. She'll come round with her boiled egg and her piece of salmon because she doesn't expect us to cook separately. Obviously, I would anyway. But yeah, don't have any shame in it. If that's what you need to do to stick to your diet and feel better, then do it.
Yeah, that's good, really. You made a good point as well about your appetite, like what you're eating and having different foods. It wasn't so much a problem for sticking to diet. You're very honest with me, sort of thing, and I'm with you half the time, perhaps.
Yeah.
I've not seen you sort of splurge out on food or have a binge and think, oh, I feel really guilty for this. The worst you've had in 3 months is a handful of squashies, probably.
Yeah,
little drumstick sweet things.
Couple of biscuits. Little bits of sweets. But yeah, when I've said to you, I feel guilty, because I do feel guilty. I think because I've been on it and I've tried to be as strict as possible. The occasional time that I do have something that I shouldn't, it's nothing compared to how I used to be. It would be like 2 digestive biscuits, which it's not going to do any harm, do you know what I mean? But I would still feel guilty because I'm not on the diet, and I would tell you straight away of, I've had this, and you're like, it's absolutely fine, it's the evening, you're a woman, you're hormonal, it's fine, it's not going to, cause any issue. Start afresh tomorrow, do you know what I mean? Let's plan tomorrow. What have you got already? Let's see if we can make any adjustments.
Yeah, I want to just make it clear here. Some people have to be stricter than others. So, me personally, I'm not having biscuits and sweets and things.
No, you're very strict.
I've had three meals maybe. Mm-hmm. 3 meals which are slightly off plan. As in, I had steak, chicken, and a baked potato or chips or something.
Slight bit of bread or something.
Cleaner French fries basically. It's not like the oily sort of crap we see. I
think it depends on your personality, doesn't it? I know that I can have one biscuit and I'm fine. Previous years, like years ago, yes, I would have, demolished a handful and having a cup of tea and thought nothing of it, and then had even more during the day. But now, I can have one and I'm fine, whereas you find sometimes if you was to have a couple of sweets, you just end up having the whole packet, so you're better off not having any at all. It's
all about individuality.
Yeah.
Like every Christmas my dad will get me probably it works out to about a kilo of chocolate or something. And that's just from my dad alone. He knows I can't really eat it because it messes me up. But I'll just pile it all down in one sitting. Like, I have no problem doing that. I don't feel good and I feel horrible for it. But I have no restraint. I'd rather just get it out of the way. If it's there, I don't mind. If it's in the house, I won't have it. I won't see, I fancy that, like that. I don't know,
but
slice
if
of bread.
You've got it. It's like when we started, you had your protein bars left, because we don't have them because they're quite high carbs. You then had your few days where you were like, I had to get rid of them, and you ate like a whole box of protein bars in about 3 days, because you were like, I know they're there, I have to get rid of them. Whereas I still had the box full because we bought a box stupidly a week before we started, and they were fine. They stayed in there. I gave them to my daughter and other people anyway.
Yeah.
But I knew they were there and it was fine. Whereas it's people's mentality, isn't it? And if you know you're the type to just binge, if you was to have a bite of it, like my cousin is, she's the same. My mum's like me, and my cousin's like you, isn't she?
Yeah.
Where exactly. She won't even have a bite of a Malteser. Do you know what I mean? Because she knows she'll have the whole box, and I don't blame her. They are quite moorish.
I guess it depends where you're coming from as well, at what diet you're starting from, and
the reason.
Yeah, and the reason. So, for example, some people start the carnivore diet. If I'm honest, it's a bit like the last chance saloon diet. So it's like the thing people do last. Mm-hmm. So they'll try, calories in, calories out, macros.
Yeah.
If it fits your macros, something, keto. Then they might go towards like keto, but more animal protein. They might cut out the veg. Then there's different levels to it. Not everyone has to do like the purest lion diet, which is just beef, salt, lamb, and water. We'd say I'd say I'm strict, semi-strict carnivore. You're probably semi-strict.
Yeah.
But it's just the way our minds work, and people coming from a place where they've got autoimmunity, so they're gonna a lot of times they're gonna have to reduce and use a method of deduction and take things out of their diet to see what they can and can't tolerate. Some people really are in that sort of position. It seems impossible. Like, how can Jordan or Michaela Peterson, people that just eat beef and lamb and salt and water, and how can they only eat that? And you think, well, they come from a position where they felt so unwell that they had to do that. It's not a choice. I mean, if it was easy, if I could maintain perfect health, mental clarity, feel good, feel my best sort of thing, and just eat everything under the sun, I would.
Yeah.
I think anyone would.
Definitely.
It's not an option people are choosing because it's. Well, I don't think many people are choosing it to be extreme or sensationalistic. It's for a matter of means.
Yeah.
And what? So you mentioned about changing your diet around and stuff. So what did we have to adjust in terms of coaching you? So how often did that happen, and what interesting things did you notice around that?
So, obviously we check in daily because we're partners. But you do your weekly check-ins with, your other clients, and 2 weekly check-ins. So kind of that regular, it would be that if I'd noticed that week, whether my energy was lower or the scales didn't go down or it affected my gym sessions, then we would look at the macros and we would adjust, either go higher protein, higher fat, or obviously lower it if we needed to. Sometimes, as we've worked out that I struggle reaching, especially the fat macro. At the minute I'm on quite high fat for me, which I do struggle to hit sometimes. And then even when it comes to like food, so obviously me being a single mum most of the time, because you're here like half the time, I don't have all the time in the world to cook a big breakfast like you do in the mornings, because I have to get me and the kids ready and out the house for school and stuff, and fed. So we've adjusted it all. So I have my yogurt and my protein powder, and I add butter to it, so I'm still getting my fat up, which also digests better and quicker, because I then gym straight from the school run. So again, I don't have time to wait 2 hours to be able to then go and gym. Whereas when you're at home, you've got that time. You can rearrange your day for that. Whereas I have to get the kids to school. And we found that, we've tweaked the breakfast to know that that works better for the day. And then we noticed sometimes at tea time, if it was too high in protein or too high in fat, I was either waking up feeling a little iffy, or going to bed feeling a little iffy, or it affected my sleep, which we can't always guarantee was the food or the child. But we then adjusted things so that it does work. And I think obviously when you do your weekly, 2 weekly check-ins for your clients, that's when you find out, unless they, message before. Sometimes I message him and I say, this isn't working. Like, I've just done my gym session. I've not hit any of my previous targets. Like, something I need to adjust the diet. And then we've looked at, the previous few days, and then we've adjusted it. And then it, my next session, and it's kind of worked. So
that's quite important to mention, that with coaching, if you're trying to get results, you want to get them efficiently, not waste time, not have the stress of like, I only get 1 or 2 check-ins a week. I've got a lot of the time you'll check in with a client on Monday and say Thursday. On Tuesday you can count a major issue. You're constipated, or you feel horrible, or you feel sick, you vomited. So what you're gonna do until Thursday? You got that sort of 2-3 day gap where you're in limbo sort of thing, waiting around. When I'm coaching people, I don't like to sort of leave them sort of hanging at the window sort of thing, like, what do I do?
Yeah,
so
you definitely told me off, haven't you, for leaving it a few days before saying that there was an issue. You've said, as soon as there is an issue, you say you will adjust it, because you don't want any of your clients feeling any other way but good. That's the whole point of this diet, is you feel good. And I have noticed that I feel a lot better, like internally. My digestion is a lot better. My skin is getting a lot better. I'm understanding my body a lot better. Like, I'm understanding, my hunger signals, whether I'm actually satiated, whether I'm not. Whereas before, I would, you'd eat for boredom. The kids are in bed. There's no, there's crap on the telly. You just eat for the sake of it. Like, no one's here to keep me company. So you just eat for boredom. Whereas now, I don't feel like that. Like, I have my 3 meals, and I then have like my treat, a little sweet thing in the evening. And then I'm satisfied, I'm happy, which is good, because you need to understand your body, don't you?
Yeah, you've built up a healthy relationship with food, like you said.
Definitely.
Like, your habits are a lot
better,
more sound in practice. They're more sound. We went through the Arnold Classic UK Expo yesterday. We were just saying earlier, we had these, like, this lady come up to us with a big tray of like protein cookie samples or something, or cakes.
Yeah.
We're like, you're right. Like, we felt obliged to sort of take them. We didn't think, oh, I like them. We saw other stands with like donuts and thought, yeah, that'd be quite nice to have. But it wasn't like we're looming over it. We weren't thinking, ooh.
Whereas before, like 12 weeks ago, if I'd have seen, those on a stand,
you'd have lost it.
You'd be going over to have a look and inquire, whereas we just walked straight past and we didn't even like turn our head. And I think it's because we haven't really had sugar, you just don't want it as much. Whereas, before I would have, and I would have got one to try. Well, obviously we got those 3 samples and I had a mouthful. And it was, to me, it was then very sweet. Whereas pre-carnivore, I have a very sweet tooth, and nothing was too sweet. Do you know what I mean? And now, even having a mouthful of that was too sweet.
Yeah,
your body adjusts, doesn't it? And now we noticed when we had those little samples of protein bars that our stomachs didn't feel right because we haven't had that in 12 weeks.
You got to think there, like, so I probably had the equivalent about 40, maybe 50 grams of a protein bar. You know, if you put all the samples together, you had about half that probably.
Yeah.
So I'm a lot heavier, I'm bigger, got more mass sort of thing. So I'm gonna be able to tolerate that a bit better than her. I'm 6'1", you're what, a 5'4", yeah. Trying to be generous with 5'5". But yeah, so it's amazing. My digestion hasn't always been that good. I have noticed that the more I go towards, the more I go off the diet, I've got like a bit of a lenience. I could do a bit. I can have 1 or 2 coffees a day maybe, or I can have milk sometimes, and not much problem. I can't abuse dairy too much. It does seem to give me some issues. And that's where it just goes to individuality. You've got to report back to your coach, whoever's like helping you out.
Keep track
Keep track of what's going on, what you're having.
Like we use an app for our food, and I think obviously if you don't get on with apps, then write it down. Because when I did my weight loss a few years ago, I did it old school and I wrote everything down on a piece of paper, which was so long-winded. I'm so glad there's an app, which isn't too confusing. Because then, if you're feeling like sluggish or something the next day, you can look back at the day before and go, okay, so I had, 50 grams of cheese. Okay, well, why don't we try doing less, seeing if that's a problem? Because you've definitely been able to figure out your kind of baseline of, well, this is how much my body can tolerate before it, kicks off and tells you off.
Yeah, you get all sorts of funny symptoms with your body, which we mentioned earlier about the hunger signaling satiety, understanding what your body's sort of saying to you. You really do get more in tune with what your body's doing. So you think you eat a meal, you don't think, I need to chug a load of water now to get it down, or you don't think I need more sweet flavours, or what's the other one?
You don't need more or anything.
You don't need more or anything. You eat it and you think that was enough now. You don't have this I used to be someone that would eat big meals. Like the average meal I was eating is around, I'd say about 500-600 grams at least.
Yeah.
Now it's about 200 or so, maybe 250.
Sometimes as low as 120, 150 before. And
sometimes, yeah.
You would look at his bowl. Even my bowl was bigger than his, and you would look at him compared to me, and you'd think there's no way that's going to fill you up. And he had to push that last kind of mouthful because it's what you eat, and this diet definitely lets you get in control of your body and able to kind of understand what it needs and what it doesn't need. So I've now learned, while I'm training, sometimes I know when I then need extra salt, or if I haven't put enough salt in, I know, well, I need to add more salt for the rest of the day. Do you know what I mean? Because I work out in the mornings, I can feel in the gym, I need to add some more salt now. Whereas before, I wouldn't have had a clue what that meant. I'd have just been like, oh, I'm tired.
That's a good point.
I've overworked at the gym. No, I've gymmed correctly. I've done to failure like you should. I just need more salt to, you put everything back in that I'm sweating.
Your mouth has receptors, and your brain knows. You become more intuitive as you go further along the diet. That's why a lot of people, they say, oh, try it for a week. It's like, yeah, you get an idea, and you sort of might get some initial benefits or drawbacks, because there's always adjustment period. Yeah. Every diet you do will affect your microbiome, your gut, so it could be a net negative or a net positive in the short term. That's why you give most diets, it's a way of eating, really. It's not so much a diet, like but what I mean is you can sort of scale it up, so as you adjust into it, you find you can assess what your tolerance is better for different things, and you can really work out what your body needs. I'm someone that needs very, very high sodium intake, as in not just guesswork. It's very much I've added it in, weighed it, like my salt each day, add it in by 1 gram increments or less sort of thing, and thought, obviously the amount you excrete it can vary each day if you're training or not, but I sort of found out my averages, and it does seem to be some people just do need more of certain things than others. Mentioned in I think one of the last videos about having needing more eggs than most people. So there's individual variances.
We may as well have chickens. The amount of eggs that we go through when we're together in the same house, we may as well have chickens in the garden.
Yeah. You touched on training a minute ago, so about like training to failure and stuff. So have you gained any sort of useful methods or like an understanding of like how to train, when to train? Like how's my coaching impacted you towards that?
So before obviously your coaching, I was still gymming 2 times a week, but I'd be like doing cardio to start with. So I was doing things in the complete wrong order. I wasn't doing many things because I didn't really know what I was doing. I work out in my uncle's gym in Birth and Wellbeing. So I'm limited at what's there anyway, but I only knew the few things, so that's all I stuck to. And I did the same thing all the time. Whereas now with your coaching, obviously you've shown me different things in the gym. You've planned me like specific days to work specific areas. And I used to just kind of I'll do 12 reps of that and then 10 reps of that at this weight. Whereas now I know, no, I train to failure. That's the point of it, is you train to failure. And then I now have an understanding of to mix up the body. Sometimes it's good to kind of drop down the weight and do it for more reps, and then, or, to increase the rate and do it for less reps. And then you continue at that weight until you get to, 8 to 12 reps, and then you increase it again. Whereas before I'd be like, oh, I can do 20 kilos. Let's just do 25. I wouldn't think actually that's going to be far too much strain on my body, and then I'll end up causing an injury. Whereas I've been doing this, 12 weeks, the gym longer, and I've never had to take a day off because I was injured or in pain. The only time I'm having to take a session off is if, the kids aren't well, or I just can't plan it into the day, or
necessity.
Yeah, it's not because I'm too injured to do it. So you've definitely helped me understand kind of how to train properly, and the areas as well. Like, especially with the form, we noticed when I was doing bench press with the bar, I was working the complete wrong part, and I had no idea because I was just watching YouTube, which is great, but doesn't always show properly, until I then learnt from you, well, if you do it with the dumbbells, you can train the part that you want to train. So, I plan my sessions. I then know what I did before to know, well, this is how I've improved. I don't see it as much as you, but I'm a woman and I'll find negative in everything. But, you've noticed that I am getting more toned, and, I've got definition in my calves, which I've never had. I'm doing things properly. So, it might be that actually my scales aren't going down as quick as I'd like, but I'm toning, I'm getting stronger. And although I may not look it sometimes, I can see, just going back from a month ago, my gym sessions are stronger. Do you know what I mean? When I started the carnivore, I'd never deadlift at all. Didn't know how to do it. And now I deadlift 60 kilos this morning. Okay, I only did 2 reps, but for me, that's a massive win. And I've learned from you that it's those tiny 2 rep 60 kilos that matter, because then it's like, okay, well, the next time you push and you do 3, and I continue to do that. So I'm learning to do it properly, which I think is good, because some people kind of wing it. Like, I know that my cousin goes to the gym and he just wings his session, and he has we don't always know what we're doing. Whereas now, with your coaching and your expertise and your knowledge, I know to do specific days, and I know why I'm doing a specific order, which I think is very, very helpful to know why.
I think Sophie's been quite humble here. So she's increased basically all her lifts. I don't say like 50% probably. I mean, obviously you have the sort of she's trained before, but you do get like the startup gains, like the newbie gains sort of thing. But Sophie's someone with actually a lot of muscle for a female. She's, to put most of you guys to shame that watch this probably, she's got about 75 kilograms of lean body mass. That's the musculature and lean body weight on her body. Once you omit like the fat content sort of thing and water and things like that. But that's 75 kilos. Most men don't weigh 75 kilos. That's a lot of muscle. So she's gained a lot of muscle. Although she's lost, I believe, 11 kilos.
About 11 kilos now.
Kilos.
Yeah, just under 2 stone.
If you think 11 kilos she's lost of like fat, she gained a ton of muscle. Like she's got strong as well. Like that's unheard of. That doesn't. She's drug free, obviously. Just for anyone who doubts it and thinks,
Definitely.
But there's a lot to be said for this diet. How your body works more efficiently, and I mean, I was pounding the food before. Like I'd say the majority of the last year and a half, I've been on a diet. Like was in a fat loss diet. I maintained defined glutes for most of last year. It's like pretty ripped conditioning. I was doing a carnivore diet, and whilst doing that, I've seen on like the bioimpedance measurements. It's like the body water resonance sort of machines. Granted, they're not that accurate, but when you've been using the same machine, and you sort of see, there's an obvious trend here.
As long as that machine's going down, then.
Yeah, I mean, I've gained, I think around 10. I'd say quite an advanced lifter. Been training for about 14 years. In the last year and a half, I've gained about 10 kilograms of lean body mass. That's unheard of. And it's not like I've been pushing gear and performance enhancing drugs. Most of that was actually off cycle. To make that point. So it does seem to be cause and effect. The actual diet itself is helping people like me, Sophie.
And you make it. It's good because I'm not very intelligent. I have no idea about gym stuff. I have no idea about the lingo or anything like that. The first workout that I wrote down, you should have seen, because the things I was calling things was hilarious. But you've helped me understand like why things are happening. So like, although the scales aren't going down, but he's like, yes, but you're getting stronger, which is why. Do you know what I mean? You'd rather have more muscle. And when I've had a spike on the scale, you've gone, well, this is why. And then you've helped me understand, because I know it's probably a lot of women would see that the scale's gone up and panic, and then you'll end up restricting yourself the next day or feeling really bad, and then doing the opposite and binging because they're like, I'll forget it. Like, what's the point? Whereas actually, this is why it's helpful to write it down and keep track, because then you can see, we saw that my carbs were higher the day before. We ate later the night before, which is why, it went up. And I think a lot of people don't explain things, whereas you've explained why I'm on higher protein and high fat, or why you've dropped it, which is good, because a lot of people say, just do this. And then you're like, okay. But then you don't understand why you're doing it. You're just doing as you're told.
Yeah. And
I think it's good that you break it down in a way that people understand, especially me, because I don't understand half the stuff he says. So he breaks it down in a way that I can understand, and he does it with his other clients as well, which is helpful.
Yeah, I think as a coach, you have to be in a position to be able to offer your time to help people.
Yeah.
A lot of people coming to, might not even be the carnivore diet they're doing, they might be anything. They're sort of come from a place where I have a vast sort of mixture of people that I've helped, elderly people to people that are like, people that know how to track macros, know how to sort of eat properly and eat whole food sort of thing, and yeah, like I really go into town with the explanations. I don't leave any stone unturned. I make sure people understand why. I think information's power. Like, it's very sort of cliche sort of term, but
and
I
what
think
you
it
want
really does.
Out of it as well.
We want out of it is critical. Yeah, like if you're telling your coach, I didn't really stick to the diet this week. It's like, why? Show me your diet. What exactly did you do? What went wrong?
What happened?
I know how to address it. Then I can see. I'm not a judgmental person. I'm very understanding. Sometimes things happen. You can't always stick to something exactly. But it's just,
we've all done it. But I think a lot of people aren't honest, are they? And they don't want to be honest to their coach. But it's actually, that's the person that your coach and yourself are who you need to be honest to. Because I would be in denial before, whereas it's then, you've then helped me learn. Well, no, we need to know, okay, when you went off the diet, okay, what happened before it, so that you know what to look out for next time, so you prevent it. Otherwise, you'll get into like a bad cycle of constantly doing it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's a good point as well. it's all about good habit for me.
Yeah, and I've definitely learned a lot of good habits from this diet, and from you explaining things as well, which is, amazing.
So we've covered sort of diet and training quite well. If you have any more comments, questions to ask, just put a note in the comments. Email me, Instagram me. I'm contactable. I'm pretty quick at replying. Get back to most people within about 10 minutes most hours a day. So that's just to let you know. But the other question I wanted to ask is, what sort of objections might people have towards the carnivore diet, way of eating? Like, what would you say to them?
I mean, it isn't for everybody. Do you know what I mean? It isn't. It's not that it's a difficult diet. It's more your mindset as well. So, like, my mum went on it a few weeks ago, and bless her, she lasted a week. And every person that I say, I'm on the carnivore diet, this is what I eat, they're like, is that all you eat? How is that? How are you full? And I'm like, I just am. I just am, because it's the fat to protein has made me full. Whereas some people get stuck in their ways. So, like, my mum, I'm sure she won't mind me saying, she is a creature of old habit. She likes her sweet treat in the evening. I've managed to find a carnivore sweet treat butter bite, which is a secret recipe. And that's my sweet fix, because I was the same. I'd have to have a pudding after, and this is kind of my pudding sweet treat.
These things as well, we can't discuss what they are, it's very secret, but they're like that big.
Yeah.
You think, I might have two of them, maybe three of the very small ones we make, but you might have one. You think,
one or two.
Oh, I'm right.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm done for my fix.
Yeah. And some people, this isn't for them. Like, it wasn't for my mum. She couldn't handle not having the fruit and the veg. God knows why. And she couldn't handle not having the sweet treat or the bread or anything. But, which is fine. So, I mean, it's not for everybody. But I would say, if you're contemplating it, give it a whirl. Give it a couple of weeks, 3-4 weeks, because it can take 1 or 2 weeks for your body to adjust. Because at the beginning, I did feel, a bit hungry the first week, because my body was adjusting to going from eating whatever I wanted to specific things. But yeah, definitely give it a go. I'd say give it a month. And if it's not for you, it's not for you. But what's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to lose fat.
Yeah, I'll make a video at some point soon about how to start the diet. There's information about that on YouTube, but it's not very clear. I mean, I'm not seeing everything, admittedly, but it's not very clear. It's not very comprehensive. I want to really address all the issues around that. People will run into all sorts of problems if they do it wrong. Digestive problems, heart palpitations. Everything has an answer. Nothing is by chance. There's a reason for why some of these things happen to a very small portion of people, but I can explain that with my coaching, and obviously I'll do the video soon.
But yeah, if it doesn't work for you, that doesn't mean it doesn't work in general. Like, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely. My
friend's on a diet. She's not doing carnivore. She said she couldn't do carnivore, but it's working for her. Diet's working for her. Okay, this is probably the healthiest because of what you're putting into your body. You're not putting toxins in, but there's other ways. But definitely give it a whirl. I think you can't slate it until you've tried it, really. Yeah.
We've covered like the diet, the training sort of thing. So about like your general well-being. So how would you describe the way you're? Pardon me, drink too much. The way you're sort of feeling, like day to day, like maybe like your mood, like how you think, how you feel, your digestion.
So
what's going on?
My digestion is definitely better. I don't feel like after a meal or at the end of the day. My energy is a lot better. Like, I feel a lot more kind of awake all the time, which is saying something with 2 young kids. But yeah, I think all round, I feel like internally as well as externally just a lot better. Like, it helps my recovery from the gym, because I remember before when I was gymming, I'd need a good 2 days in between to rest. Whereas now, I did 8 gym sessions in a row, which I don't recommend at all. It's just, unfortunately, how my calendar planned it. But I didn't feel shattered or broken or anything. Do you know what I mean?
That's because you manage your recovery and your diet. You weren't thinking, I have to do a bit extra now, so maybe I've earned this bit more extra food, or you just stuck to the diet meticulously and just did what you had to do.
I ate till I was kind of full, which always hit my macros, but sometimes I didn't even reach them, but I was full. I'm not going to force myself to eat just for the sake of it.
Yeah.
But then the next day, I was back to normal of hitting my 150 protein and, 110 fat. But yeah, I definitely feel less sluggish. My digestion is so much better. It's helped my skin, which, as women know, our skin is a big insecurity for us. It's, all round improvement, and it's, my want for sugar is a lot less. Like, I don't have that desire to have it. Don't get me wrong, like, there are times that I could do with some, but I'm human, I'm a woman, I get hormonal. Can't help that. My body knows to not give in, so I don't. And if I do, I have the one piece and I'm fine. Which is good that,
Yeah, it's all about the protein, just animal fat. Like I won't go into this video just because it's getting quite long, but I will go into a video where I discuss like the fat and protein ratios. It's a big topic of it's like a big topic area of contention right now in the sort of carnivore / keto sort of community. People are pushing either high fat or high protein variations. I have my own quite specific take on it. I've developed a lot of knowledge actually through friends online. So like Harry Sopanos, Bart K, like the real sort of science-based community, which you think also science is not. It's all mechanistic. It's reductionist. It doesn't address like broad spectrum people. But the reality is, you look at what they're saying and you think, right, they've got something behind this. Like,
there's method behind the madness.
There's method behind the madness. That's right. Yeah.
And it works. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It works for me, and it works for the other people that are doing it too.
I think everyone wants to be. It might sound a bit harsh to the viewers, but everyone wants to be a bit different. They want to feel like, I need 90% fat in my diet, or I need 60% protein, 80% protein, really lean, and you think the answer is usually for a lot of things somewhere in the middle. I'm not going to give out ratios in this video. No, that's another topic. But
you put too much stress on your body if you don't do it correctly, and there's enough stress in the world to add even more to your body. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
like going on a diet where you sort of go, if you're going to be saying, oh, I'm going to eat, I don't know, a kilo of chicken breast today and have like an egg with fat, it's like it won't cut it. I'm sorry, it won't cut it. It's not going to do the job. You think I'm eating less fat, so I'm going to be less fat. So it really doesn't work. Your machinery in your body doesn't like that. It doesn't tolerate it very well. So there's obviously an area for tolerability within the diet, and as Sophie mentioned for all the points before, like she's been able to do it, and it's not been a challenge really.
No, it's not been a chore. Like I've said, the only struggle is when you eat out. That's the only issue. But then there's ways around it. I mean, thankfully I don't have much of a social life, so it's quite helpful. But there's ways around it. So it's I think it's definitely a long-term kind of diet, whether you want to call it a diet or just a way of eating. I think it's definitely a long-term thing that's quite easy to stick to as well. The first few weeks are probably the hardest for every diet, but then once you get over that, it's pretty easy.
On that point, so how do you see your approach like going to the future with your diet? So would you say, I'm just going to stick to this forever? Or would you say, I'm just going to go off the rails, I've reached my goal, I've lost whatever amount of weight? Or would you be somewhere in the middle? What would you do towards that?
I think once I've hit my goal, I will stick to like this way of eating, and I think I will have the odd days where I'm not on track, and not feel bad about it. I'd let myself have, whether it's the odd meal or the odd day, mix up the body a bit. But it would probably mainly be still on the carnivore diet with the very few times going off it. Yeah. Couldn't
say it myself. It kind of gets to it's almost like the 80-20 rule a lot of people put about. So that's the idea, that you can say you've got, say I've got 5 meals in one day. 4 meals might be immaculate, perfect to plan, and 1 meal maybe not. Maybe I'll have, I don't know, what do we like it? I like slice of toast sometimes. So I think it might be that. I'm not doing it now because of very strict sort of goals, but in the long run sort of thing, when I've reached them, I can assess my tolerances. And same with Sophie, she'll have her thing where she thinks, oh, I fancy, I don't know, I don't really know. I can't remember what you like. Nothing really comes to mind.
French bread and butter.
French bread, toast, anything toast.
Yeah.
Toast seems to start doing for us the fat in it and saltiness. So we crave for some reason. But yeah, that basically concludes what we've wanted to discuss today. Just in regards to like my coaching, I'll put links below. So that'll be my website, is how you can book the coaching. I do consultations, which are very affordable.
Yeah, I can vouch for that. As a single mum on low income, they are very affordable. And I think when you compare it to kind of PTs, which I don't want to have someone watch me work out for an hour every week, paying £50 for them to watch me sweat.
Yeah.
I just want you to tell me what I'm doing and I'll crack on and do it. And I think your coaching offers not only that, but you get your consultations in the month. It's very affordable. And I think if you're willing to pay £40-50 for a personal trainer a week, I think you can, afford this as well. And the things you'll get for it is amazing for the money that you pay. As one of his clients, then I can, vouch for his work and his knowledge and his experience is definitely worth paying for.
Yeah, just if you sort of doubt my abilities, you can just read my testimonials on my website. I've got quite a fair few now. It's not comprehensive by any means of everyone I've helped, but you can't go asking everyone for a testimony, because over the years it sort of adds up a bit. But
you can always message and ask me, and I'll, I'm always honest. Like I tell him all the time if he's being rubbish or too harsh, or we're always honest.
Yeah, that's the main thing, I think.
Definitely.
Anyway, so what I'll probably do is flash up my coaching plans, sort of consultation prices, probably right about now, hopefully. If YouTube allows me, it comes up, I don't know. Anyway, I'm rambling now, so that'll just conclude our video, and thanks for watching. And if you want to like, comment, subscribe, we'd appreciate that. Well, I'd appreciate that a lot, actually.
And I would as well, for his support.
Oh, thanks.